I just want to give, I'm going to ask you the first question, Emma, but before I do, I just want to give Beth and Kate and Patrick a warning of a question I'm going to ask in a little while, so you can think about it. And it's this: grief is usually presented as something to dread, something that we'd rather avoid. But I'm wondering if there's a positive side, a beauty to grief, something that there's another side to it. So from your experience working with people who've died, with their families, I'd invite you to reflect on that for us. But while you do that, Emma, something we haven't had a chance...
I feel like I'm on a game show. You know, I'm sitting here like I'm so excited. Patrick, I think you and I would do good on the game show. But can I just be really rude?
Yeah.
First. Because with Palliative Care New South Wales, Hunter New England Local Health District are hosting a conference this year in beautiful Tamworth. And everyone can come, can't they? Everyone can. Registration is open, and we want you there too. And it's up in Tam Vegas. It's going to be wonderful.
Free advertising.
Tam Vegas. What was that? Free advertising. No, it's just, it's a great few days of this amazing collaboration and learnings that we're doing now. Sorry, I had to get the pitch in.
No, that's okay. That shameless promotion is something I really respect.
Now I can concentrate.
All right. Maybe Phoebe would even put a little notice about that in the follow-up information. She's nodding, yes, nodding knowingly. Okay.
Great. Okay, I can concentrate now.
So, Emma, please concentrate on this.
Okay.
I'm hearing a lot about the growth of the doula network in this local community, and I wondered if you could tell me, what is a doula and what is this growing network? What do they do?
I love that you've asked me this question. Thank you so much. So I'm a clinician, I'm a nurse. I've been nursing for 32 years. And death is very normal for me. I was very fortunate as a young whippersnapper, Botox does me really well, that I got to be, my family looked after my great-grandmother at home. And this was normal for us. And as a little girl, I would go over with Mum and they would bathe her and we looked after her at home to die, and she died at home. And that's very normal for us and our family. After she died, we would never sleep in that room. We called it the spirit room, and we had to sleep with our nan. But it was a very normal part of our life. Doulas have been around a very long time, and I love this table down here of our doulas. And we've all heard about birth doulas, haven't we? Yeah, Patrick, death doulas have probably been around before birth doulas as well. And so our doulas are about being and holding and being a part of the journey. They're about empowering the process. They've got lots of amazing specialties and networks that they can call upon and use. They can work alongside our medical system as well and look at what the goals of the patient and the carers are and help them deliver that. What else would we say, doulas? How would we answer that?
We have
at the back? Non-medical role, thank you. Yep.
It's a non-medical role.
Yep.
Oh, good on you, Patrick.
I guess what I would add is that we can work with a client and their family all the way through, from even just planning advanced care directives all the way through to different treatment, palliative care, active dying, death, after death care, funeral care, bereavement.
It's kind
of like the whole circle. So.
Well, while you've got the microphone, let me just ask you, in a strange reversal of the way this process normally works, how does one find a doula, death doula?
Yeah, we call them end-of-life
We just
doulas.
go here. Yeah.
Yeah. So I work for, I'm co-owner of Preparing the Way, so we have a Find a Doula service. We specialise in training end-of-life doulas, but we also have an end-of-life doula service. There's also a end-of-life doula directory. It is an emerging area, and there's also an organisation called HELD, which is Holistic End of Life and Death Care Australia, which is like becoming the peak body for all holistic end-of-life care. So that's going to be an area that's that's growing as well. But we see this year there's just been a huge growth in knowledge about end-of-life doulas. We're interested, like you are, in bringing end-of-life back into the community, that having people comfortable with death, knowing what's going to happen and having their choices on it, whatever that might be.
And I know, Ruth, you've done a lot of work in our community as a doula, and Ruth has run death cafes in our community for a very long time, but has also set up a service where she can assist the family. Do you want to explain that, Ruth? Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly which service you're talking about.
Many, Ruth.
I host death cafes, and anyone can do that, which is just a place to have a conversation around anything to do with death and dying with no particular outcome. And while it's not grief counselling per se, there's often grief work happens in a space of people who aren't experts. None of us are experts at what's on the other side. And it's a great space to have a conversation. I also have a home where people, particularly if they're coming from the country, or where they can come and be supported at their end of life. So there's a private hospice, I suppose. And they can incorporate their whole family to come in and be part of that end of life.
And
Thanks
I think
so much, Ruth.
one of the wonderful things about our doulas, just like anybody working with a palliative care approach, is that we're not frightened of talking about death and dying and bringing that into society. And I think that's where I get back to. Death is very normal for me and my family. And I suppose over time it's become very medicalised, and we've shifted to that medical model. But I think, the more we talk, expose, be a part, then we're bringing death back to where it needs to be.
Thanks,
Oh,
Emma.
Beth, you're amazing too, by the way. Yeah, gosh, you're phenomenal.
I did wonder, as I was listening to all of you this afternoon, and it came up with the voluntary assisted dying presentations this morning, what is happening in the community regarding conversations around death? Maybe, Patrick, maybe you could tell me, are you aware that in the community these conversations are happening, or are we, the health professionals, supposed to try and stimulate that?
Yeah, that's it. Am I talking? Yeah, I am.
You're talking.
I don't know. No, not from my time in the space. No, those sort of. That's why I've never heard of death doulas before. So thank doula very much. Come on, guys, that deserved more than that. God. No, so yeah. So no, I don't. I sort of feel like it's another issue that sort of rises and then it just sort of goes away. So it is something that just requires constant, like all sorts of health promotion issues. If you take your foot off the pedal, things we sort of revert sort of to the same patterns. We can become very sort of retrograde. So, yeah. So maybe this is that sort of emergence is. We still need a lot more advocacy and promotion of that, yeah. Sorry, that was long-winded of no, I don't know. Yeah.
No, it was great. And I wonder if you could please share your microphone with this for this question. Thank you.
Yeah, Dying to Know Day is a growing network as well. They do great, they've got great materials on death literacy. They have Dying to Know Days like the 8th of August, but any time you can set up an event. It might be something you're already doing within your organisation. It might be a death cafe. It's anywhere that conversations about death are being held. And if you want to know about what's local to you, just go onto the Dying to Know Day website and national. Yeah. So
Thank you
great
so
place
much.
to start.
Great. Are there any questions in the audience? I have many questions. I could keep going forever, but if any of you have something you'd like to ask our panellists, please fling your hand into the air. Karen Harrison down the front has a question.
Thank you. My question's for Beth, and also thank you so much for the care that you provide so many people. And I just wanted to know whether you've learnt many things from what's important for people as you've been around and supported them during their final stages of life.
Put it this way, you
never ever stop learning. And I know the last one that I've been involved with has been, wow. And even like we have a buddy system now that started last year. I buddy up with somebody, a brand new person, basically. She was in the deep end. And I was able to help her through it, but also I was coming against an awful lot of stuff I hadn't before too. So, and that's where we go. Our coordinator, if we see or perceive any problems, it doesn't matter what it is, we can go to our coordinator and then she sends it on to palliative care. But we're always learning, and you can never, ever, ever say that you know everything, because you don't. But it's beautiful to be there, no matter what.
Thank you, Beth. I have another question down the back here.
At the beginning of this, we said we're all people and we have our own person, and we can't leave our own person outside. And yet, almost all of the day has been client-centred, patient-centred. So I guess I'm asking out the front, or anyone, if you have strong beliefs, thoughts, ideas of your own, how do you care for someone person-centred without it being a moral injury mismatch?
I'm happy to say a few words to that. I've got a background as a social worker, and knowing your own values is probably the first thing you ever get told in the university course. So you've got to be aware of your own values and move them aside, and that's a bit with voluntary assisted dying. If you're going to be working as a health professional, you need to be aware of that.
Actually, I'll add with that myself. I've found it just comes down to that person at that time. And maybe it's funny, even where I go, people will open up and talk. I've had some amazing conversations. And it'll even be if I'm at the checkout, wherever I am, I'm always, I guess, just caring for people, and they will open up. I've had death talks. I've learnt to be totally open, upfront and vulnerable with people, no matter the circumstance. Whether I know what I'm doing or not, a lot of the time I don't. It's only my face that gets me through. I don't have the answers, but you can just care. And the biggest thing, today, I've noticed, like, I worked in a surgery and people used to often say to me before they got to know me, there's no point talking because nobody wants to listen. But if you're willing to really, really listen, to care, to reach out, that would make such a heck of a difference. And maybe all these hard conversations can happen. And just be willing to be out there and do it. Show you care, smile, love somebody.
Thanks, Beth.
Thank you.
I had a question kind of related to that, and I'm going to give my favourite quote, which some of my friends here have heard me give before. But there's Suzuki Roshi, was a Japanese Zen practitioner, and he said, "In the beginner's mind are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few." So for those of you who've been working with people who've dying for a long, long time, you've seen many, many deaths, how do you stay fresh and open and curious and sort of open to the uniqueness of this person and their family and their situation? Do you, how do you stop yourself from sort of shutting down and thinking, oh, I know what this is going to be like and I know what I've got to do? Because it seems to me, Beth, that you're saying you have got that receptivity and openness. How do you sustain that?
I guess, I don't know, hard to explain, but I just care for people. It's just something that's become part of me now. It's taken a long time in developing in that, because As a child, I never said boo to a goose, and I'd never have any of these conversations. But now, you know, it's just each and every person. You just learn to reach out to care. And I just can't help myself. I don't know. And even if people are nasty and things like that, I keep going. And that's where I use the word vulnerable. I have learnt to be vulnerable. Because as a chaplain, you're in all sorts. People will reject you for whatever reasons. And I've had that probably one way or another all my life. But I've learnt to go beyond that. And just focus on the person. Okay, you just put that one aside. If they're not going to be so nice, you just leave them. You move on to the next one, because there are more nice people out there than not.
And I think, Beth, you probably do a lot of self-care as well, in that being able to be a carer.
Yep.
You need to care for yourself, and I think that's a lot of us in this field acknowledge and recognise the importance of self-care.
Yep.
And being able to put our big girl knickers on again and head into the next one with purpose.
And we do. You've got to. And I learned
Boy
this
knickers.
very.
Sorry, boy knickers.
Yeah, it is too. But yeah, you learn to do it. You have to, because if you don't, you'll burn out. You'll end up in a crumpled heap. So you've got to have hobbies. You've got to have people you can talk to. So if things come up, you know, I have some people I can talk to and download and make sure that I do. I pray. That helps me too. I harass my poor dog. I think he needs therapy. If anybody does animal therapy around here, he desperately needs it. But, you know, and having good friends and support network around. Yep.
And regular clinical supervision.
Yep.
Did everyone hear that? Kate added, and regular clinical supervision. Patrick, what about you? How do you stay open? When you're in that cottage and you see the next carer driving up and you have to start looking busy.
Yes, it's quite the challenge. But I think I was going back to your original question. Yeah, it's probably, if you listen hard enough, you'll fall into the person's world. So it's being mindful. And I probably the mindfulness practice certainly helps. And it's probably, I'm going to answer your question about grief, and that is actually being where you are and being present, and using, if you're feeling ructions or people are annoying you, it's saying more about you and where you're at. So it's good. It's a good little message, because I've had things with clients where I've thought, oh, I need to go on a holiday because I'm imagining a fight scenario with a 90-year-old woman. It's not her, it's me. So, but the thing is working hard at just creating a space, a listening space, and after a while you just plunge into their story, and it's okay. But it takes practice and humility and beginning again and again, having colleagues and people you can talk to. And I guess, like Aaron's talk, having those very open, reflective conversations, and and value-based conversations as well. And probably the last thing on the grief thing is, I think I answered that. Yeah, there was some other profound insight, but I've lost it. So
you might find it again, because I'm going to ask all of you to each of you to say something about what's really struck you today, what you're going to take away from today personally, and what you've really valued about the day. So that gives you a moment to reconnect with your previous epiphany. So who would like to start? What's the most important thing you're taking away from today, or what's impacted you the most?
I can go now. I remembered it. Sorry.
Quick, before he forgets it again.
It'll go if I don't say it now. Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
I think what really struck me, and it's really, and again, it's sort of because I came half the day, honest, so I had to be honest about that. I missed some of the best talks. But where certainly with Aaron struck me is, I guess one of the things I was thinking too is he took, I'm not sure if Aaron's here, he did take a lot of the responsibility onto himself, and I think what this field is actually about is it goes way beyond the medical model. That's what I like about it. So it's not just a client letting go, it's actually doctors letting go and everyone having sort of that equal say, doulas and volunteers. So everyone's at the table. It's like King Arthur's table. It's a team of equals. Of course, led by the client and their family. But that's probably the most profound thing is it is a place, and I actually think other clinical services, particularly where mental health, where treatment regimes, there's no certainties, and we just hang on that there's going to be some magical treatment instead of the magic is in people coming together and working together. So that's, yeah. So that's what I would take away from it.
Thanks, Patrick. Beautifully expressed.
Thank doula very much.
Kate, what about you?
I guess I'm just impressed that everybody's come here today, GPs and health professionals, and it just shows us that we all want to learn and we all want to do better and the best we can. So that I feel privileged to be a part of this group because people matter and they matter to the end of their life.
Thank you.
For me, it's Patrick. It's a team sport, and anyone can get called off the bench at any stage. But it's all of us together collectively. Yeah.
There's some beautiful synchronicity there because Liz Raymond started us off with that team sport, and you're kind of rounding off the day with that. So thanks, Emma.
Yeah, and I just want to add too, like sometimes as a volunteer, maybe we think we're just a volunteer. We're not medically trained or anything like that. We're trained in a lot of other stuff. But you want to know something? I came away, and I have felt it too, is feeling part of a team because you know you are never, ever, ever alone. And, all you lot always help what we do too. And you're there to support us, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Beth, I don't think there's a single person in this room who thinks you're just a volunteer. So, who wanted to say something else? Kate?
I just wanted to say cheers to PHN.
Yeah. Thank you to the PHN for putting on this wonderful symposium. Is it the only one we'll ever have? Is this a one-off, or you think the PHN should do it again?
Do it again.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, please join me in thanking our amazing panel.